Hey, what's up, everybody? Coach Kyle here, and this is a race recap from the ultra marathon I had 3 days ago on Saturday, and it was the High Thrive Trail Classic. Thrive right there. Here's the hat. I opted for the hat instead of the shirt. I have a lot of shirts, and I got 100K in, so I put 100K on the hat, but it was a 3, 6, 12, and 24-hour event. And I wasn't planning on doing this. I did a marathon in May, took June and July pretty much off. It was a sub 3 hour attempt for the marathon, and it went really well up until about mile 15, where a quad niggle that had bothered me just a tiny bit in training got pretty bad during the race. So I ended up jogging in the last like 10 miles of the marathon. That was fun. But I basically took the next couple months off. I went to Costa Rica for over a week, went to Wyoming for that was a 4 or 5 day trip. So those were complete, full periods of rest. And between those, after the marathon, whatnot, just kind of took it easy. I did a couple attempts at a couple workouts, but the quad wouldn't. I ended both early because the quad just wasn't having it. But I could run easy. So for the rest of May and June and July, so those 2 months, May and June, I kind of just hung out, easy running, and a friend suggested that I signed up for the ultra, and it's the first year they had it, pretty low key, and it's just right in town. The trail's right over there, and I told him if he went from the 12-hour to the 24-hour, I would sign up for the 24-hour, because I was like, I could do the 24-hour. I didn't want to do a 12-hour. So I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would upgrade, but he did. So I kind of lost that bet with myself. So I signed, true to my word, I signed up for the 24-hour, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because after the marathon, I was a little lost on what I wanted to do with the rest of my summer. I wasn't really sure. So this gave me 3 weeks of purpose. So I trained for the event for 3 weeks, which meant it's very different than what I've done. I haven't done an ultra in like 6 years. So, I mean, most of what I've done in the last 6 years has been 5K and half marathon specific. The marathon was kind of a spur of the moment thing too, where I was just running really well and running a lot over the winter. So I decided to do some marathon training for the spring, but and that was all road based. So for this, I had about 3 weeks. So what I did is for 3 weeks, I went on a 4-day training rotation. So it was kind of like an 8-day week, where it'd be, and this was all time based running with just my watch here. And what I did is July 5th, I think, I went on my first training run, and I did 3 hours easy. And then the next day I did 2 hours easy. And the next day I did 1 hour easy. And the next day I did a full rest day. And sometimes I would do like 2.5 in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. And then I'd be, half an hour ahead of schedule for those 4 days. And I think one time, instead of 1 hour on this day, I did a half hour here and a half hour here. And then the next day was the 3-hour long run. And I tried to do them in the heat of the day as much as possible, because I knew the race would get hot. And I did them so M Hill, where the race took place, is over here. But immediately behind me, like 7 minutes jog up the road, is the Skyline Wilderness area. And it's kind of like the sister park to the Hanson Larson Memorial Park, where the race was. So I did as much running up on those trails as I could, and they're very switchbacky. They're not as rocky over there, but it's very similar. So I trained as specifically as possible with, heat of the day, the terrain. I would run with a handheld for almost every single training run I did. I'd run with a handheld, and I'd try to keep it full, even if it was just a half hour or an hour run, and I didn't actually need it because there's a water stop 20 minutes up on top of the hill. I still carried it because I knew I would carry the handheld for pretty much the entire race. So that's what I did to prepare, and I'm very pleased with how it went. I was the first person to hit the 100K, which was the buckle. I don't have the buckle handy, so I was the first person to get the buckle. All the 24-hour runners just stopped at 100K. So, it was a rough day for everybody. I have my splits right here. I just wrote them down on the sheet. But the course was a 3.8 mile loop with 530 feet of climbing. So, and it was, some sandy sections. It was some very rocky sections. It was pretty much just, up, switchbacks, and then down. So it was I really enjoyed it. My pacing strategy was basically to walk pretty much the entire up section. So I would walk for about 30 minutes, just briskly hike up to the top, and then run, 15 to 20 minutes typically down. And that worked out really well. I did that for pretty much all the loops, except for the one I got sick at. Otherwise, I basically walked up for 30, 35 minutes, and then down, jogged for 15, 20 minutes. I carried a handheld for every loop, and I most of the time that was some type of Powerade type thing, plus a gel. I would drink half of a bottle at the aid station, and then I would take in the Powerade plus another gel on the course. And so what I did is I kind of at the aid station, I would chug half a bottle or so of real cold water or Powerade, and then I would have a gel or a banana. And then up on the course, I would wait 15 minutes to drink. And then up on the course, I would drink from my handheld and have another little calorie source. And that worked out really well too. It wasn't until after 50 miles that I had any real food. It was half a Jimmy John's vegetarian sandwich, which is probably I think I told the guys I was running with, it was the only time I've ever been, glad to be given a Jimmy John's sandwich. I'd rather have Subway. But yeah, so pacing was really good. It was really hard to let first and second place go off ahead. I think I was basically with them for the first lap, maybe the second lap. I can't remember where we were at, but it was hard to let them go off ahead. But I just told myself, I didn't have any expectations going into the event, and I was just going to run my own race and see what happened. And I ended up catching them. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think I caught both of them during lap 7, and I was in the lead for the rest of the run, and I was the first to get to 100K. So my pacing was incredibly consistent. This was fantastic. The first lap was 43 minutes, and I jogged pretty much all of that. I didn't walk the first 30 minutes of that. I would walk most of the noticeable uphills during that first loop, but otherwise I jogged probably half of it, maybe a little more. But the next one was 56 minutes, and I actually walked most of that because I wanted to see how long it would take if I walked almost all of the loop. And then the next 3 were all 46 minutes on my watch. The next one was 47. The next one was 51 minutes. And then lap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, lap 8 I got really ill. It was hot. That was, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. That was probably the hottest part of the day. I all within like a minute or two, I kind of got like, oh, I kind of need to throw up. And then my right hamstring started kind of pulsing a little bit, like it was just about to cramp. And my left calf was doing the same thing. And this all happened like 20 minutes into the loop, and all within like 2 minutes, all three of those things started happening. So like up here I was fine, but I just kind of felt like I was gonna throw up, and things weren't really moving moving very well. But so I walked I tried to run a few times, but I walked pretty much the entire lap, and that took 71 minutes. And then the next one took 70 minutes. But after that real bad loop, I was fine. And these times are with stopping at the aid station. So like that 70-minute loop, and the 71-minute one, the two long ones, that was including staying at the aid station for a little bit. But I really, like, other than those two times, I really just grabbed gear, sprayed some, like took in a few calories, whatever, and went. I barely sat down for the first like 6-7 hours. So, and Desi said that, my wife said that I was probably looking the best out of the 24-hour runners when I would come into the aid station. So, it's good to know I felt well, and I looked pretty good too. So, yeah. So apparently, I really think I paced really well, and my nutrition was spot on too, I think. So we did experience the worst. I think the worst storm, most rainfall maybe we've had all year for a few years here in Rapid City. I've been here for 4 or 5 years, and this was probably the worst storm we've had, at least that I can recall, and certainly this year. And the entire there was an 8% chance of rain at the start, and we ended up getting the worst rainfall, the worst storm we've had, at least for this year. So yeah, that's that. And the entire checkout aid station area blew off. It was a disaster. There was like 10 of us, a dozen of us that hung out in the back of like a U-Haul type trailer for an hour. They ended up moving the race off the hill and onto the bike path because there were waterfalls that normally weren't there. It was crazy. So it was a mess. I can't believe it. It was insane. So we moved to the bike path after hanging out in the U-Haul for an hour, and yeah, we just kept on going. My splits were under an hour for all the loops after that. So yeah, it was good. But I just kind of kept on trucking and got to 100K at like 12:30. So called it a night. This has had me down at 15 hours and 55 minutes. And so that's one of those loops was 2 hours and 10 minutes. And that's from that stuck in the truck. But otherwise, yeah, it was a good run. So I went to bed Saturday night, and Sunday didn't really sleep too well, but I took like 3 naps Sunday during the day. Sunday night slept pretty good, and now it's Monday. I'm feeling pretty well. Like nothing hurts. I'm a little sore. My shins got really sore because I normally don't walk that much. So my shins got pretty sore, even to the point that on the bike path, which is flat, I was running because it felt easier to run rather than walk, because the running engages my shins less because I'm not, rear foot striking. So that was pretty good. It was nice to move to the bike path because it was flat. It would have taken a lot longer to continue up on the hill, even if the weather would have been perfect. So But you know, it is what it is, and I did the run. I'm really pleased I did, and I'm gonna take it easy this week, and we'll just see what I do for the rest of the summer. There's another ultra next month on the lean. It's a lean horse. It was my first 100 miler, so maybe I'll sign up for that. I'm kind of thinking maybe just doing the fastest known time of that, whatever that may be. I'll have to look. Would be fun. But yeah, so I'm probably gonna do another ultra this year. I'm not sure which one yet though. So I'm really pleased I did it. Oh, I wanted to do like my favorite gear from the race. So in Gingy socks, the toe socks, you've all seen them. I did not change my socks at all during the run, and my feet were wet from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, from lap 11 to the end. So my feet were pretty much wet for the entire half of the race, and I only had a couple little blisters, and I couldn't even feel them during the run. So, and today they're totally fine. So shout out to Njinji. Shout out to Science in Sport. I like these gels. It's the Sport Energy Supplement, the Energy Plus Electrolyte. This is a different one. I have a couple different types, but it's real liquidy. So this is 87 calories, but it's not a gel. So you can just take it, and you don't have to chase it with water. So I use these out on the course because it's just nice to take these without having to use fluid with it as well. And then I would take a banana or a spring energy gel down at the aid station when I had some extra water to chug. And then another all-star was this spray-on Vaseline. Hallelujah. No chafing whatsoever. Totally fine. This and the boa shorts, I got through it. Didn't have any problems in the shower afterwards. And then last shout out for gear, the Saucony Kinvara. Not a trail shoe, but it's got the good lugs. And I didn't have any problems with shoes. I never took off my shorts, socks, or shoes the entire run. So the upper is very soft and they're perfectly wide enough. So these treated me really well. I got these for like $20 at Plato's Closet. They were lightly used. So, yep. Thanks to Dan for putting on the race. Maybe I'll do it next year. We'll see. And the crew, my crew, Desi, but everybody else's crew really banded together to help each other out, before the storm took place. And then while it was storming, we all kind of worked together to, hold the tents down. One tent blew away. We helped each other get the gear into the U-Haul, and the runners went out to continue running, and a lot of this crew helped move everybody's gear from the U-Haul to the park shelter, which was a little farther away on the other side of the creek. So, big shout out to all the crews who really helped everybody, during the race, and helped each other with everybody's gear to kind of clean up the aid station and move the aid station to a better shelter. But yep, it was a good run. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad it's over, and we'll see what's next. But as always, you keep running and I'll keep coaching.